Yesterday, I know Tommy was on. Melanie, were you on yesterday? What were the highlights from yesterday?
We learned about sea tuna yesterday, one of the closing adventures that Tommy uses.
Very good. All right. See, Roger, I pay attention. All right. I have a good topic today, Melanie, and it's a topic that I believe most people, when they're new, are not great at. And then when they get pretty good at selling Cutco, they're still not great at this. Okay. So the topic is dropping down. And the reason why I think it's a great topic is a lot of representatives, when they're new, what happens, Melanie, is a customer will say no to the homemaker. They drop down to the galley. They hear no again. And it's almost like, okay, well, you can get pieces. And and look, I've been there. We've probably all been there, but I want to give you some good dropping down stuff. So here's the way I view dropping down. Dropping down is working with your customer to find a solution. That's it. It's working. It's problem solving, right? It's working with a customer to find a solution. So there's two ways to drop down. Okay. The 1.0 method, homemaker, galley, starter sets, custom. The 2.0 method only works if you've been paying attention to the presentation. It only works if, Melanie, you're actively listening for the presentation. So when I think of active listening, this is a skill that a lot of people have lost, right? Like during COVID, I was talking to a guy yesterday. He goes to TCU. He's starting with us next week. And he was like, the reason I chose to go to TCU, he's from the Bay. The reason I chose to go to school in Fort Worth, Texas, was because the whole Bay was shut down for 2 years. And I knew if I stayed around here, I might be doing school in COVID still. And I didn't want that. And I knew Texas was shut down for 2 months. I'm like, I'm going to get out of the state, right? So we were just talking about how COVID messed up communication skills. Well, the other thing is, think about people now growing up with iPads like all the time, or people take their kids to dinner. Here's an iPad. And look, I'm not trying to judge. I'm just saying there will be a communication problem for the next 30 or 40 years, potentially, if maybe schools don't step in and say, maybe not everyone should have a phone when they're in 5th grade walking to class, right? So I'm just bringing this up because if you're good at actively listening, you will be providing value to your company that you work with, a business venture maybe that you start, whatever it is. Being a good active listener, it's a big important skill, and a lot of people are missing it, and they will continue to miss it. So one of the things I try to do, Melanie, during a presentation, I like having pen and paper next to me, and I just jot down notes. So if I'm going through names and uses and I find out they seem enthusiastic about the paring knife, I make a note. They're enthusiastic about the trimmer, I make a note. Spatula spreader, petite carver. So dropping down 2.0, I always say, would you like to place an order for the homemaker? But if they're not feeling the homemaker, the 2.0 method is go right to where you think they'd be better served. Okay, there's a Changing Lives Selling Knives episode when Tim Nikolaev was a guest on Dan's podcast. And Tim used to build really good rapport during his presentations, and he would try to figure out what they cooked and like the pieces of like what knives they used. He would be asking some interesting questions during rapport, and he would just tailor the presentation to what he thought was best for them. I thought that was interesting, right? He's trying to take care of his customer. So a good example of active listening dropping down, the 2.0 method. Hey, would you like to place an order for the homemaker? Dave, I like the homemaker, but I don't know if Roger, it's the best set for me. Hey, no big deal. Let me show you the studio set, because it's got the 4 pieces that what seemed to me you had the most energy around. It's got the paring knife, the trimmer, the spatula spreader, and the petite carver. You can get it with table knives. You can get it without table knives. Here's the price with. Here's the price without. I can still throw in the shears for free. Do you want to go with one of those? That's the 2.0 method. Does that make sense? But when people are new, Melanie, it's homemaker, galley, starter sets, right? So you'll see this also at car dealerships. A new salesperson at the car dealership, if Evan Keller walks in and says, I want to buy a BMW, they're going to show him, the M5. Hey, that's a beautiful car. I don't think I want to spend $100,000 today on a sedan. So like they'll start at the top, and new sales reps might go every car all the way down. A seasoned one will ask questions and realize, wait a minute, you had an M3? You loved that M3? Evan, let's go to the new M3 and see if we can get you back in one of those. And they went from an M5 to an M3. They didn't go anywhere near any other car because they were asking questions, and the most important thing, they were listening. Does that make sense? Okay, so dropping down, we're working with the customer to help them, get what they like. Okay, so here's the next point that I want to make. This is a Drew Frank special. So Melanie, the further you get in our business, you'll learn more and more about Drew. Drew holds the record in our company for the most silver cups of anybody in the history of our company ever. He has won more national championships at his levels of the business. So Drew talks about on the back of everyone's head is a number. Now I'm speaking figuratively because you look on the back of my head or John Baker's head, you will not see the number. That would be literal. Okay. And Melanie, I know you know the difference, but a lot of our people say the word literally for everything. And I'm like, you're misusing the word. Okay. So there's a number on the back of your head, and that number is how many times do you need to be asked to purchase before you say yes? That's the number. How many times do you need to be asked to purchase something before you say yes? So Drew refers to himself, he's a 1. What Drew means, he's like, I like to buy things. When Drew bought his BMW X6, and by the way, if you don't know this, Melanie, the reason that I'm giving BMW examples, we have a BMW car program, right? So when somebody's been a Vector manager for 20 months or more, the company gives them a stipend every month to pay for either a BMW or a Tesla. Okay. Now, look, I can't tell you that BMW is the best car on the planet. I can't tell you Tesla is the best car on the planet, right? I've had 3 BMWs. I currently drive a Tesla. Thank you, Vector. But here's what I can tell you. What's awesome about Cutco, when you look at someone dead in the eye and say it's the best, you can feel good because it is. I love my Tequila water bottle. It's the same as Hydro Flask. What's great about Cutco, it is the best, right? But anyway, back to Tesla and BMW. When Drew went to get his X6, the person said, do you want to add on this package? Drew's like, yeah. Then the person said, do you want to add on this package? Drew goes, yeah. And then Drew stopped the person and said, hey, Melanie, I'm just going to say yes to everything you say because I like buying things. Just make it the most souped up killer car you can make it. And I'm just going to say yes to it. So Drew is a 1. Like when somebody says, do you want to buy? He just goes, yes. Drew gives an example of he's walking in the mall. He goes to that store that has travel goods. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head. And I feel like it has the word stone in it, whatever. And he sits down at one of those massage chairs for $1,000 and he turns it on. He's like, whoa, this is cool. And then he buys a massage chair. So when he gets home, right, it's like, why'd you get the massage chair, Drew? Oh, because I don't know, it was cool and I bought it. Drew's a 1. So if you get to the end of the appointment and say, do you want to buy a homemaker? Drew says yes, because he's a 1. Okay. Drew says yes, because he's a 1. If you didn't start with a homemaker, but you started with an ultimate and said, Drew, do you want to buy the ultimate? He's going to say yes, because he's a 1. Okay. Now a 2 is someone who says no the first time. And then Melanie, the second time you ask, they say yes. That's a 2. Some people don't buy the homemaker, but they buy the galley. And when their friends are like, so which set did you buy for Melanie? Well, I didn't buy that whole housemaker set, but I bought the gallery. You know what I mean? Right? Okay. Now, if you were to start with the ultimate, they'll say, I didn't buy the complete set, but I bought the family set. Okay. So people have this number on the back of their head. Okay. Here's where I'm going with this. It typically takes 5 no's in a selling situation to get to a yes. It typically takes 5 no's in a selling situation to get to a yes. Here's what I would write down. Most people give up before they get to the yes. So it typically takes 5 no's to get to a yes, but most people give up before they get the yes. So I'll give you an example. Why is the average sale at Cutco $300? The reason the average sale at Cutco is $300, we ask for the order on the homemaker. If they're not feeling that, we drop down to a galley. If they're not feeling that, we say, which of these starter sets do you like? Cool. Do you want to buy that one? Then we go to custom. Hey, if you buy these 4, I can throw in, the shears for free. The 5th time you say, do you want to buy, is a buy 3, get 1. Or Melanie, if you remember the discount, like let's say they love the galley, but they don't want to spend $1,100. So you're like, well, if you buy the galley without the table knives, here's what I can do. If you use the discount, homemaker is a no. Galley is a no. Let's assume you use the discount on either the homemaker or the galley. That's the 3rd no. Starter set is a no. Custom set, buy 5 pieces, get free shears is a no. Where's the yes? Buy 3, get 1 free. Why is the average sale at Cutco $300? Because we sell buy 3, get 1 free nonstop all day long. Now, here's an important point. The higher you start, the higher you finish. The higher you start, the higher you finish. Matt Graves, he closes on really big packages. Okay. I actually don't believe everyone should start with the Ultimate. I do not believe everybody should start with the Ultimate. The reason is chances are you don't have as many of the Ultimate pieces. And the other thing with the Ultimate set is if you start with the Ultimate and someone says, well, Melanie, how many of those have you sold? And you say none, you're kind of losing credibility, right? If you start with the Homemaker, even if you haven't sold one, which I know you have, but if you start with the Homemaker and somebody goes, how many of those have you sold? You can go, this is the most popular set that we sold 24,000 of these last year. It's not our, like, it's our most popular set. I wouldn't say it's our most common order, right? But like, this is our most common set. So, okay. It's like if you go into a BMW, actually, my wife and I did this. I test drove an M5, and when you go to see the highest level car BMW makes, they will get on the intercom and they'll call in the closer. Okay. So if you just walk into BMW and you're like, hey, I want to test drive an M5, they don't let any associate help you. They get on, they're like, Leilani Baker, to Leilani Baker, please come. And Leilani Baker comes in and she's sold M5s. So if I test drive this and I give her any flack, right? And I'm like, Bo, it was the coolest car I ever drove in my life. Okay. And we didn't get it, obviously, but it was the coolest car I ever drove. And if I said to Leilani, like, who really buys this car? And she's like, I sold 2 of these last week, I shut up real fast. So the point is, the Ultimate set, like, until someone has sold one or they have more of the pieces, I actually don't recommend closing on that. I think the Signature is fine to close on, obviously the Homemaker, okay? But the higher you start, the higher you finish. So if you started closing on Signature sets, if they say no to that, you're now dropping down to the Homemaker. There are people who will just buy the Homemaker. There are 2, right? They'll just buy the Homemaker. I didn't want to buy that full Signature family thing, but I got the Homemaker. Okay. All right. So remember, it takes 5 no's typically to get to a yes in a selling situation. All right. Here's a really good question to ask. One of my favorite questions to ask when dropping down, is that a better fit for you? Love asking that question. Hey, is that a better fit for you? So let's say that I'm on the starter sets and I just say, of these starter sets, which one do you like best? And my customer goes, I like the Essentials with the table knives. And I say, cool, that set is only this. By the way, I don't have prices memorized, right? I can tell you a pair of shears, a Homemaker +8, and a table knife. After that, I got nothing. Okay. Now, Tommy, he knows a lot more of the prices. I just don't. Okay. So let's say a customer, right? I like the Essentials +5, and I go, great, here's the price. Here's what it is on a 5-pay. And then I'll say to them, hey, by the way, is that a better fit for you, Jacob? And if they're like, I don't really think so, then I know to drop down. But if I say, is that a better fit for you? And they go, yeah, that Olivia is a better fit for me. I'll go, cool. Do you want to get that set? And I'll give you the free shears. So that question to ask, is that a better fit for you, is a great Melanie dropping down feeler question to see where they're at. Good morning, Olivia. Good morning, Jacob. We're talking about dropping down. Okay. Another good question you could ask instead of, is that a good, instead of asking, is that a better fit for you? You could ask, hey, what do you think about this one? Or could you see yourself using this set? Right? So which starter set's your favorite? The Essentials. Cool. Here's the price of it. Here, I can still throw in the shears for free. Would you see yourself using that? Yeah, I think we could. Cool. Do you want to get that set? And I'll kick in the free shears. Smile and nod. Drink water. Remember that? We talked about when you asked for the order, Melanie, drink water. Let them think. If you're going to ask Evan Keller what he wants for his birthday, okay? If you're going to say, hey, Evan, what would you like for your birthday? And a reminder is May 24th is Evan's birthday, right? So a week from today. If you were to say, hey, Evan, what do you want for your birthday? Ask, drink water. Because if he doesn't say anything, he's thinking. And if you were to just to say, oh, okay, nothing, that's cool. He didn't even get a chance to say nothing. Maybe he will say nothing. I got it all, right? He's got some cool stuff. Okay, let's keep rolling. May 24th. Most important day of the year. All right, my next tip when dropping down is memorize the phrase that pays. Memorize the phrase that pays. I will not drop down from a Homemaker to a galley without saying a phrase. Now, Melanie, you've heard me talk about a phrase that pays, like for Memorial Day, saying, I know you're really busy because it's Memorial Day weekend, but I'm trying to get in a full weekend's pay. That's the phrase that pays when getting appointments, right? That's the phrase that pays when getting appointments. I'm going to drop in the chat something that I really believe you should memorize. Do not drop down from the homemaker to the galley without saying this phrase. Because the reason, Jacob, some people say no to the homemaker and they give you the financial reasons why they can't buy it, it doesn't mean they can't buy Cutco. It means they don't feel comfortable with the homemaker. That's all. So if somebody said to me, oh, Melanie, I can't get that because I just spent $2,000 over my budget in Europe. Hey, my job's not to get you to buy $1,600 worth of Cutco. My job's just to help you get some stuff that you'll use, you'll benefit from, and most importantly, something that'll fit into your budget. Can I show you the smaller sets? Because we got a ton of those. Notice when I say, Melanie, my job is just to help you get some stuff. When I say stuff, I'm playing it down like it's no big deal. So that phrase, Olivia, I will not go from the homemaker to the galley without saying that phrase. Or I know a few minutes ago, Melanie, we were talking about starting with the signature. I will not go from a signature to a homemaker without saying that phrase because I want them to know I'm not going to push them. Sometimes there is a wall between you and the customer, and you have to break the barrier down to get them to realize you're not going to push them. That phrase is the best phrase to do that. So I never go homemaker to galley without saying that phrase. All right. Is this helpful so far? All right. Next tip. A few minutes ago, I was talking about it takes 5 no's to get a yes. So you should make a note. Every time the customer says no to an option, your enthusiasm should go up. But I see a lot of representatives mess this up, right? You're so close to selling a galley and they're like, Olivia, I just don't think I can pull the trigger. And it's like, oh man, we start to like sag our shoulders, put our head down. All right, let me show you the other sets. Your energy should go up because every time you drop down, you're getting closer to making the sale. So your enthusiasm should go up. Here's a good tip when you're dropping down. Smile when you drop down. So here's some more inside baseball. For those of you that advance with our company, right, you'll have an opportunity to get interviewed at the end of the summer by your division manager, potentially. Okay, it's usually for people who've sold, let's just call it about 10 grand for the summer, something like that. Anybody at 10 grand and above, they can get an interview with their division manager or their assistant division manager. It's about going through our leadership development program in the fall, our management training, right? Our leadership academy. And one of the things that when we're teaching people how to interview, we want to make sure they speak slowly enough so that people understand. So when I was learning, Melanie, how to interview 24 years ago, I speak quickly. You already know that, Melanie. This is the 3rd day of the week you've heard from me. But I used to have a turtle. I drew a turtle, Olivia, on my interview script. I drew a turtle. So every time I would turn the page, I would see that little turtle and it would remind me to what? Slow down, take a breath, right? So seeing smile every page of your manual when you're dropping down will remind you, oh yeah, I'm supposed to have energy for this part. All right, last few things. Nickname your sets. Nickname your sets. So a good way to nickname a set, just quick example is earlier, Melanie, I talked about the customer who I went through the homemaker pieces. They liked the studio set. Okay, here's a real life example. Would you like to place an order for the homemaker? The dad goes, you know what, Dave? We're kind of more of a midnight snack type of family. We cook, but not a whole lot. But I knew they liked paring knife, trimmer, spatula, petite carver. I went from the homemaker right to the studio, and what did I call it? Hey, Jim, let me show you and Bonnie the midnight snack set. I think you're going to like it. It's got the 4 pieces that you liked. It comes with the table knives or without the table knives. I can still give you the shears for free. Here are the prices. Is that a better fit for you? Dave, that's like it was made for us. That's what I'm telling you. Do you want to go with the one with the table knives or without? Boom. Let's go to the accessories. The midnight snack set. So you can nickname the sets based on what they tell you. You can also nickname the sets based on how you feel, right? Customer says to you on the homemaker, hey, I like the homemaker, but you know, we don't do a lot of meat. I'm not sure we would use the butcher knife or the carving knife. Now, by the way, time out. The butcher knife they're going to use on big fruit. The carving knife is the greatest watermelon knife on the planet because the carver is longer than the watermelon. You ever seen someone try to cut watermelon and the knife is shorter than the melon? So you cut the melon, twist, cut the melon, twist, cut the melon. It never pries open. Cut it with a Cutco carver. Problem solved. But if I have a customer who, you know, oh, I don't think I'd use the carving knife. I don't think I'd use the butcher knife. I'm more of a vegetarian. When I drop down to the galley, hey, Melanie, I think you're going to like this set. This is the vegetarian set. Doesn't have a butcher knife, doesn't have a carving knife. Now, I will say this. Anybody who has a restrictive eating diet These are ultimate customers. I'll say it again. Anybody, if they are paleo, pescatarian, vegan, vegetarian, carnivore, anybody with a restrictive diet, these are ultimate customers because they don't go out to eat like someone else can go out to eat. Oh yeah, we have celiac. We go out once a month because we got to be really careful. They cook all the time. They're going to be better off with an ultimate set. Right? So I just gave you an example, Jacob, of, okay, let's call the galley the vegetarian set. I will yeah, the ultimate's the vegetarian set, but I'm just giving you that example so that you can hear it. Okay. Last two tips. When you're dropping down, I like to show the essential set separately from the other sets. So I like to go homemaker, galley, essentials. And then if they're not feeling the essentials, I go Melanie to the rest of the starters. Here's why. The essential set is bar none the best starter set. So I'll go from the galley to the essentials, and I'm like, all right, let me tell you about the next set. It's the essential set. It's called the essential set because it comes with 5 pieces. It's the 5 essential pieces. You get a chopping knife. You get the everyday carving set, right? That's turning fork and petite carver. Okay, you get a spatula spreader for sandwiches, and you get a paring knife. It's the 5 essential pieces. It's the best starter set that we have. Here's the price with the table knives. Here's the price without. Aunt Olivia, which one do you like better? Cool. Do you want to go with that set? And then if they say no, you just got another no on the board. Good. But also, the essential set really is the best starter set because it's got those 5 essential pieces. Here's a really good tip. When you're dropping down, throw in the free stuff that you think is best for them. You know what I used to throw in with the essential set? I give them a choice. I can either throw in the shears or I'll give you a trimmer because the trimmer doesn't come with this set and I feel like it should. So if you want this set, I can either do shears or a trimmer. Most customers of mine would pick the trimmer. Great, because it's fewer points. I used to do that with the gourmet set. Jacob, if you get the gourmet set, I can throw in the shears or I can throw in a sharpener for the straight edges because it's got 4 straight edge knives. It doesn't come with a sharpener. So I like actually throwing in the sharpener, but we can do whichever you want, sharpener or shears. I had a lot of customers like, oh yeah, give me the sharpener. Great. That just saved me. I don't know how many points, 50 points. Boom. I'll take it. Right. So I like to be creative with when I'm dropping down, throwing in free stuff that they would like. Okay. I told you a couple minutes ago, I had 2 things. Let me wrap up with this. The last thing, everybody, is the phrase, I recommend. I recommend. You can recommend, if you take good notes and you're a good active listener, then Melanie, you can recommend what you think is best for them. Now, if you're going to recommend, it's only fair that you recommend up and down. The person who always recommends their customer buy more, logically, that's an impossibility, right? Like you can't always recommend that people buy more. That doesn't really make sense. You got to be able to recommend that people go up and down. So I've had customers where, Olivia, I felt like they could have bought the homemaker, but they really believed they would not use the bread knife and they would not use the butcher knife. And I felt they would, and we had a pleasant conversation about it, but Jacob, I wasn't getting anywhere. So, hey, I feel like the homemaker, Jacob, would probably be great for you. But what I'm hearing from you is you feel the galley is better for you. So I would recommend just getting the galley. And I know you really like the idea of that carving knife. It doesn't come with this set, but I will throw in for free either the shears or that carver, whichever you'd rather have. But I would recommend the galley over the homemaker for you. I just recommended them down. When you recommend them down, they know you are helping them. It'll help you with recommendations, right? You're also still making a sale. That's positive. Now you can also recommend people up, right? I know you're on the homemaker. I also know you loved that cheese knife and the Petite Santoku. If I were you, I would recommend the family set because it's got 10 table knives instead of the 8. Here's what I will do for free. And then you explain to them what you would do for free. And then you can say, I would recommend that you go with that one. Does that make sense? If you're going to recommend, you got to build great rapport. That's a whole other talk. Okay. If you're going to recommend, you got to build great rapport so they trust you. But Olivia, you can recommend people up and down. That's kind of the way this works. All right. Pause. Let's go to the chat. What's a nugget that you're going to take from today? What is a nugget that you're going to take from today? That there's going to be a game 7 for the Mavericks and the Nuggets? That's your takeaway? Sorry, that was just what somebody directly wrote to me in the chat. And, you know, I'm shocked to hear that we'd be discussing the Nuggets and the Wolves. Because I was like, what was a nugget from today? It had nothing to do with the Denver Nuggets. But yeah, there's going to be a game 7. All right. All right, let's see here. So Tommy writes down. Yeah. All right. That's fair, Tommy. Any Nuggets in the chat? And maybe you wrote them to your manager and I can't see them. And if that's the case, that's also fine. Good morning, Marie. Yeah, I recommend Drop Down Enthusiasm Up. Good, Melanie. Nice, Olivia. All right, so everybody, here's the deal. Champs Club is not just about learning, it's about phoning, okay? And every now and again, I see somebody, they'll hop in a Champs Club, and then they disappear for the phone jam. Don't be that person. You want to be able to implement what you're learning, and the way to implement what you're learning is to get more appointments, right? So we want to use the time right now, the next 25 minutes or so, to make 10 calls. And if you just get one appointment, is that going to help you? Yeah. Even if you made 10 calls and nobody picked up and you texted all 10 of those people, those appointments will come back to you. And that is positive. Does that make sense? Thumbs up if that makes sense. All right, so everybody, here's what I want you to do. I want you to grab your phone. I want you to go in the Vector Impact app. I want you to click the Phone Now button. And I want you to dial up, all right, what people am I going to, who are the people that I'm going to call? And when you book an appointment, you throw it in the app. When you don't, you shoot them a text. You could also put that information on an orange sticky note and put them all over your computer. Tommy and I are big fans of the orange sticky. Hey, there it is. Orange sticky notes. It could be yellow. I don't know. It might be the glare on my screen and I can't tell the color. My 7-year-old would totally call me out on that. Is that orange, by the way? Is that orange? Great. I feel good about that. All right. I'm not sure who's cranking up the music. Roger, I think it's on you today. Let's make sure everybody gets some appointments. Let's roll. Let's pump through some music.